Well, conspiracy theories always start with a very big and frightening event. Think of the 9/11 strikes or think of a disease epidemic. And people often want to make sense of that. They want to understand what happened, but they then typically tend to fill in the blanks themselves. They don't have the information, and these blanks often involve, people tend to assume the worst.
These are not opinions to be debated. These are facts to be dealt with.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th.
My name is Jan-Willem van Brooijen. I'm an associate professor in psychology from Amsterdam, and my area of specialization is conspiracy theories.
Hey, it's Celebrate Truth. I'm Robbie Davidson. We've got a Business Insider UK article that we're going to go through here today, talking about why people that are drawn to conspiracy theories like flat Earth and why they're dangerous, according to a psychologist. That's right, they're bringing in the big guns, they're bringing the psychologist in to talk about how this is dangerous. Ooh, science denial. We've heard this before, you know, whether it's climate change deniers, science deniers, they're linking everything into more of a dangerous mindset. And I've talked about this probably for the last couple of years. I've gone through articles showing that this is exactly the agenda, this is exactly what they're going to push, where they're going to start moving it towards, hey, a bunch of crazy people thinking things, wait a minute, whoa, stop. This is getting crazy. This is getting dangerous. We've got to do something. So this is just a heads up that all of a sudden we're going to start to see this in the next few years, where they're going to start transitioning. They're going to bring doctors in. Again, we're going to have to see if these guys are fit, you know, are they mentally stable, you know, what's up, you know, and let's just see what happens. But it's not going to surprise me if there's any false flags, especially when it comes to someone that had a flat earth map in their room when the FBI raids the house or something. But again, this is what they're going to move towards. I don't see it happening right away. I see this kind of as a gentle, you know, small kind of push. They don't want to show all their cards at once, but that's just my theory. But it's going to move this direction. They're going to get into science denial as something that's very dangerous, especially something like flat earth. Now, why in the world would flat earth be dangerous? Now, just think about that. Let's just say it's absolutely, hypothetically, you know, it doesn't exist. You know, what's the big deal? Like, people will say, what's the big deal? You hear this all the time. We always say, you know, the truth matters. This is a big deal. But a lot of people brush it off saying it's no big deal. Well, if a psychologist is saying it's dangerous, conspiracy theories like flat earth in the title of this article, as you can see, we're moving in that direction, people, and there's something a little bit bigger going on. So let's investigate it for ourselves. Let's get into it. Let's just have, you know, Mr. Psychologist do the talking, and he can tell us, and I'll probably interject, or I'll throw some stuff up. And it's interesting to me how they bring in conspiracy theories like flat earth, and yet when he speaks, they bring in a lot of clips from 9/11, they bring in vaccinations, they bring in the moon landing, they bring in a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of truth in what they're showing here, but they're saying, hey, this is dangerous. So the average person that's watching this or looking at this article, they don't want to be perceived as dangerous. They don't want to be, you know, perceived as mentally ill. Therefore, they're going to retract. They're going to move away from any type of idea or even entertaining the thought or even looking into it further. Because again, they're using the fear tactics, and one big way they can use a fear tactic is by all of a sudden having doctors or the medical industry coming in and saying, ooh, this is borderline schizophrenic, or this is, you know, mental disorders, or we got to write this in the DSM handbook, you know, as a new disorder that we have to kind of classify under conspiracy theories like flat earth. So again, we're getting into some crazy stuff. Let's go, let's roll it, and yeah, let's just see what happens here.
Well, conspiracy theories always start with a very big and frightening event. Think of the 9/11 strikes or think of a disease epidemic. And people often want to make sense of that. They want to understand what happened, but they then typically tend to fill in the blanks themselves. They don't have the information, and these blanks often involve, people tend to assume the worst. So people then tend to assume that these bad events were intentionally caused by a group of bad people that operates in the shadows, that operates in secret. What has baffled me really as a conspiracy theory as outlandish are the flat earth and hollow earth conspiracy theories. You know, flat earth conspiracy theory, which is that scientists have been lying to us for 400 years and the earth actually isn't round, but it's flat.
They love to kind of play off the word round. We believe it's round. We just don't believe in a sphere. So again, this whole idea that it gets laughed off, that's like they don't believe it's round and they believe it's flat. Let's just play on the same leveling ground here. And the fact is, yes, we believe it's round. We just don't believe it's a sphere.
And then there's also the hollow Earth theory, assuming that the Earth is in fact hollow, and that scientists also hide the evidence for that. And there's a hole at the North Pole where you can go in. You know, what has baffled me is that so many people, how many people believe that and how they shove away centuries of scientific research. What I also find fascinating is, for instance, the hollow Earth conspiracy theory was actually a valid scientific theory about 200 years ago, and it was also the basis of Jules Verne's novel Journey to the Center of the Earth, of course. But now, yeah, we really should know better. To me, it reflects a complete disregard of what we know for a fact from science. You know, there's always something mysterious about conspiracy theories. Many explanations that involve conspiracy theories say it's a response to fear, it's a frightening situation. I think there's also another element to that. It's also, you know, a conspiracy theory can also be like an exciting novel, or like a thriller, or like a detective, sort of a whodunit. And I think that also sort of explains the appeal to them also among people who may not even believe in them, because people who don't believe conspiracy theories also tend to find them fascinating, or like to read about them, or like to hear about them. So yeah, I think that can explain the draw of these theories among such a wide audience. Some conspiracy theories, you know, can be, you know, relatively, you know, they always have an impact, let me put it this way, but I think some conspiracy theories that go widespread can have an actual impact, and not always for the better. What we believe drives our behavior. That belief may be true, that belief may be false, but what we believe drives what we do. And to give you an example, if a belief such as that vaccines cause autism and pharmaceutical industries conspire to hide the evidence for that, if that goes mainstream, and it has gone mainstream actually, this can have devastating effects. Lots of parents who don't get their child vaccinated, and we now actually see in various places a renewed surge of illnesses that you know, are preventable by simple vaccines. So you know, sometimes conspiracy theories can go widespread, and that the consequences of that aren't always necessarily good.
When it comes to the CDC, they were even admitting to hiding evidence that was already found out. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming when you start researching the idea that the pharmaceutical industries actually do conspire to hide certain data, and they do fudge details and data. We see this in the whole global warming, you know, debacle, when they were fudging figures to try to make it seem like it was warming up when it wasn't. It was actually cooling. So we see this in all degrees of science. We see this in climate change science. We see this in the pharmaceutical industries when they bring their scientists in. Understand that science, and I've said this so many times, scientism is kind of like the validator. It comes along and it says, nope, scientists discovered, therefore it's true. No need to look into it any further. We need to ask the questions. We need to do our own research. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't let anyone tell you that there is. The whole idea that you can be scolded or chastised for the fact of just asking questions and doing your own research rather than listening to scientists. Again, this is something that the mainstream want people to feel. They want to feel isolated. They want to feel ostracized from their peers, from the community, just because they're asking questions. Let's ask questions. There's nothing wrong with it, but understand that science is bringing in all sorts of different validation points when it comes to different type of industries. We're seeing this over and over and over again. So let's go into the science when it comes to our Earth, when it comes to the solar system, when it comes to the origins of things. You see a diabolical plan put in place to actually take away the significance and the value of not only Earth, but of us. And this has all been done by design. So don't be deceived. Understand that there is truly an agenda here, especially when all of a sudden Business Insider comes out with an article about how believing in conspiracy theories like flat earth and why they're dangerous. Again, they're using the dangerous rhetoric. Each time people start looking into things and they feel that they're ostracized, they feel that all of a sudden their peers, their friends, their family are isolating them, understand that this has all been done by design. We need to be aware of the tactics. We need to see the fact that they're trending towards moving towards being dangerous. The idea of holding such conspiracy theories, like they say, like flat earth, and why they're dangerous, according to psychologists. They're going to be bringing in medical scientists. Understand that the entire industry loves to validate, and they'll validate it any which way they can. And now they're bringing in the medical industry because nobody wants to be called mentally ill, do they? Nobody wants to be called dangerous. You know, even when you're a good citizen and you're paying your taxes, you're doing right. But then all of a sudden you read an article like this and talking about how doctors are going to basically, classify you dangerous if you even start buying into this nonsense or into these conspiracy theories. Remember George Bush? What did he have to say about looking into conspiracy theories?
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories.
I found it interesting that they're linking all these different conspiracy facts together, and especially with a title, with flat earth. Interesting. We can't buy into the lies. We need to expose the world's lies and celebrate truth. It's important. Take care, guys. Blessings.